Good evening, good evening, good evening. Blessings. Just getting a few things situated. Okay. Great. Just doing a few quick little things. I'm on live. This will be video this time. I'm actually home finally. Woohoo! Okay. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started this evening. We are this evening working on day 27 of the 40-day devotional, Healing the Wounded Heart. And what we'll be doing is we'll be coming from Joshua, the 2nd chapter and the 9th verse. And it reads, "And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you." Also, I'm going to read the same scripture in the New Living Translation. And it says, "I know the Lord has given you this land." She told them, "We are all afraid of you. Everyone in the land is living in terror." And tonight's devotional topic is fear. It says, "Not only did Rahab have fear of the future, so did the rest of the town, because what they had heard about what God had done for the children of Israel." Fear tends to paralyze and keep us not growing in relationships. And most of all, it keeps us from doing what we would normally do. Fear can be a good and a bad thing. A lot of the times it can be bad because it stops you in your tracks. It paralyzes you. It prevents you from moving forward to doing what God wants you and needs you to do. So, most of our fear, unhealthy fear, it comes from that what if factor when we're questioning God. What if God isn't looking out for me? What if God doesn't love me? What if I'm not equipped to handle what he's given me? What if I'm too broken to be effective? And what we have to understand is when God equips us to do so. Oh, I apologize. I got a quick call. I had to call out. So when he does call us, he equips us for that purpose. So we have to learn that fear, an unhealthy fear, can paralyze us. We have to begin to, what fear does is it keeps you in the box, the circle, and the square that you become comfort to. Fear is your comfort zone. And when you want to stay in that comfort zone, fear tries to talk you out of doing what you need to do. When God has given you that ministry, you have that fear that comes up that, oh, well, you're not singing too well, or you don't like people, or you have stage fright. And instead of being like, you know what, I'm going to move forward anyways, you then succumb to that. And then once you do that, you're kind of left in an imbalance, and you're left, where do I do and where do I go? So we have to understand that God does not give us, a spirit of fear. And he gives us a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a spirit of sound mind. And we have to stop operating in fear. We miss out on so many opportunities and so many blessings because we operate in fear. And I do it all the time. Not all the time now, but there was a point in my life where everything in my life predicated around fear. Good evening, Minister Peterson. It's glad to have you. So a lot of the things in my life for a long time revolved around fear. It was fear. My main fear was fear of stability. I was so fearful of that because all of my life had been unstable. All I knew was drama. All I knew was craziness. So actually being in a stable environment, being loved and being supported was fearful for me because I didn't get that you could have that. So being in stability was just crazy for me. So I would always seek out the drama. I would always allow myself to stay in drama-filled situations and crazy situations. And probably about a couple of years ago, when he began to move me out of those situations, and I began to see like, wait a minute, there is the possibility of having a stable environment. But I'm gonna be honest, it hasn't been until the last maybe 6 or 7 months in which I understood what that stability meant. It wasn't just being financially stable. It wasn't just having a roof over my head. It was actually being stable in my mind, meaning I didn't negate or divert to drama. It has been seeking him when I want to just go the other way, because drama was comforting. Drama was, what I knew. Craziness was what I knew. Being calm and not fighting. I didn't understand that. I didn't know that. So within the last 6 months, he has been showing me how the position in which he has me in right now, it was to stabilize my mind. Once I let go of that fear of being stable, he opened up other doors and I begin to now crave it. I love the stability. I love being able to, when things get awry, to speak the word to it and move forward. Good evening, Sister Pauline. Glad you're joining us today. I love being able to just, when things go awry, knowing that I have to recuse myself. Like, I did a whole few weeks where all I did was post inspirational stuff on Facebook. I didn't, respond to the craziness that was going on. I literally unfollowed some people and some pages, and he was cleansing my mind for a battle that I didn't even realize was happening because I was so, caught up in everything else. And I was so fearful of the battle that I kind of just convoluted myself with other things. So once I decided and I said, you know what, I'm not going to be fearful of this battle. This battle has to happen for a reason. But am I going to do this in a physical, in a flesh nature? Or am I going to let God handle this battle in the spirit realm? And so when I let go of the fear of having to go into battle, he began to release things. He began to fight that battle for me, myself. I didn't have to fight it. What it was is I was holding on to the fear of the battle, and I didn't even have to fight the battle. I just had to be obedient and do what he needed me to do. Sometimes we're so fearful of letting go because it's a comfort and moving forward because we may have to do something when 9 times out of 10, we don't even have to do anything. He just wants us to let go of the fear of what we think is supposed to come so that he can actually do the work. And when I let go of that fear, there was so many things that just began to come into place. I didn't even have to do anything. And yes, the enemy would creep up and say, you know what? Are you sure that's going right? And then I would start to revert. And then I would catch myself. And I said, I'm fighting this battle on my knees. I'm fighting this war on my knees in prayer, in the spirit realm. I am not going to engage in the physical. And I would put myself right back in, because sometimes the fear does creep back up. You're like, what if it doesn't work? Again, it's that what if, what if it doesn't work? What if God was leading me in the wrong direction? What if I didn't hear him correctly? And that is where all fear, and especially unhealthy fear, comes into place, because then we let the what if go in our mind. And we have to arrest that fear. Because if we don't, we'll sit in the world and we'll sit in our own little square and box and stay in it. And we'll keep saying, well, what if I did this? And what if I did that? And I promised myself and my future family and my future children that we're not going to operate in what if anymore. Because what if is what got me into a place where he had to strip me of what I thought I needed to bring me to where he needed me to be. So that's not a lesson I want to repeat. So I have slowly, and it's a task. I do get sidetracked and off track sometimes, and it's a task, but I'm learning how to eliminate what if in my dialogue and in my life, and not even just my spiritual life, even my work life. When I go to work, instead of saying, well, what if this doesn't work? I go into saying, okay, how can we execute this to make this efficient? How can we do this so that all the players, all the team players can get what they need out of it? So the what if, I've completely removed that, and I'm seeing better results because people are open, and I'm open now to the possibility that I may not be the one with the answers. And that's what fear is. It gets us bogged down in trying to have all of the answers and trying to be right. And we have to sometimes accept that we don't have all the answers. This isn't about you have a PhD or a master's degree. You know, I've been in accounting for all of my life. Like, I was a young child doing book reconciliations for my aunt for her property when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So yes, I've been in this industry for a long time. However, it doesn't mean I know everything. Someone else's perspective can be a quicker way and an easier way for everyone involved. Just because I've had an event management company for over 25 years doesn't mean I know everything. And we have to begin to get into that place. Just like we have that thought process when we are going into business, we have to have that thought process in our spiritual walk. I remember the day I decided to give my life officially to Christ. It was over 30 years ago. You know, and at that point, I had been serving in ministry since I could remember. You know, you sang on the choir director, Sunday school teacher, Sunday school secretary. It didn't matter. But what I've learned is, like, I still don't know everything in this walk. There's scriptures I've read and I've loved as when I was younger, but now I read, I get a new understanding, a new, take on it based on the experiences and life growth that I've had. And so we have to go into the fact knowing we don't know everything. We have to arrest that fear, because that is the number one part of the fear that drives everything. We have to know everything. We have to be the end all be all. We need to know where it's going, how it's going, and what it's going to do. We need to be okay with who's going to be a part of the team before we decide to get out of our box. We have to know that instead of, yeah, I see the window open, but I'm waiting for the door because that's what I put in my mind that's going to be open for me to get to the next level. And we have to arrest that in our lives. You know, fear, you can have a healthy fear and you can have an unhealthy fear. And when I say healthy fear, it means an awe and reverence for God, a respect for him, a love for him, that you want to do the best for him, just like you would with your parents. You know, you have a general fear of if you're riding in a car and, there's an accident ahead, you can be fearful of, okay, are we driving correctly, or is something going to happen? Those are healthy fears that can happen. If someone is sick or in a hospital and whatever, and you have that fear if everything's going to be okay. A healthy fear does not overtake your day to day and stop you from doing what you need to do. That's not the fear that I'm talking about. You know, the nervousness, or if you want to call it nervousness, a little anxiety or anxious at times. You know, I would get it when I would minister. I wouldn't say fear, but it was an anxiety. But you know what? It didn't stop me from doing what needed to be done. We need to arrest the unhealthy fear that stops us dead in our tracks, that makes us look other ways, that has us going to other people to seek approval when God has already put his stamp of approval on something. You know, when he says, go forth, you know, and multiply and bear fruit and be a witness and show love and show the light of me within you, he's already given us that directive. But we're so fearful of, well, is Susie going to be okay with this? Or is the people within my job going to be okay with this? You know, is my boyfriend or my girlfriend going, you know, are they going to still rock with me if I profess what God has for me? And if those people are not for you, it's the time for you to be walking in your purpose so they can nicely dissipate. People have seasons in our lives, and not everyone is meant for you to go for the long haul. People are in your life for a season and a reason. I feel everything is a lesson and a blessing. There is no good or bad experiences. You know, you're going to learn what you should and should not do. You're going to be blessed. And sometimes a situation is a lesson and a blessing. And some people's like, what do you mean by that? You have a situation where you learn what to do, what not to do, and it blesses you in the process. And that doesn't mean that that's going to be a lifelong relationship. But for that point in time, it showed you what you needed to do for your next stage of your journey. It helped you get to that next stage in your journey. And it also blessed you, meaning that you were able to see what the fruits of the labor was. So come out of the fear of having to know everything. Come out of the fear of needing to know everything and wanting to know everything. Wait on God. Allow him to do what he does. And once you do that, it'll be great. It'll be amazing. You're going to struggle as you get there. It's going to be hard sometimes. Sometimes you're going to just want to throw up your hands and throw in the towel. It is the truth. And anyone who tells you that this walk is going to be peaches and creams and all roses and whatever, has not read their word. Because nowhere in the word does he show a person who gets elevation that he doesn't show the struggles and the trials and the tribulations to get there. Jesus himself had to go through his own. He had to be tempted. He had to be tried. So if he was able to go through it and show the process and then show the end result, what makes you think we're any different? It is not going to be rosy. And if I offend some people who are on the live, who watches the replay, if someone tells you who is within ministry that this walk is easy, I need you to run, because it's not. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who want a quick fix. It's not for those who want a God who's a genie and you can rub on it and you get what you want when you want, how you want. That is not how this life works. That is not how this life works. If you want something that's in a microwave, I suggest you get some popcorn, pop it in, and keep going. Because that is not this walk. That is not this life. But if you stick with him for the long haul and do as you've been instructed, the blessings last from generation to generation to generation. Look at David. Look at Abraham, Joshua, Job. They all at some point had to lose something to gain to the next level. You know, Jesus, his father had to turn his back on him. He didn't even know what that felt like. He didn't know what that was, but he was willing to risk it for the greater good for us. So if you have some of the greatest people and the greatest prophets who've gone through some struggle and they've made it out on the other end, you're going to be okay. That's right, Sister Pauline. I am too. But I'm not struggling as bad as I was, say, 3-4 years ago when I decided that I was going to do what he needed me to do. You know, when I decided that this walk and my relationship with him was more than someone else, I struggle in other aspects of it now. But that obedience is great. But you'll get there. And what's the blessing is that you have so many people around you and surrounding you who are going for the same goal. They all have different purposes, but their goal is to be able to manifest their purpose. Just know this: we were all placed on this purpose for a specific purpose. We were placed on this earth for a specific purpose. And Sister Pauline, that the purpose that God is giving you, only you can do it. Others can duplicate, others can try. But the purpose and the will that he has given for you, only you can do it. Only you can make it through. And that is what this environment for, that's what this group is for, is to pray and to help you get to that purpose. So you don't have to worry about someone trying to take it, someone trying to overshadow you. It is yours. He has it specifically for you. And he is taking you through your waiting period and your trying time and your purging season just to get you to that purpose. Because once he gets you where he needs you to be, and you start really fully walking and manifesting, and people are seeing that light, it's going to be something just so amazing. So amazing. So definitely don't give up. I know it's hard sometimes. And I know you just want to throw in the towel, because I've been there. And and sometimes I've come close. I've come close, like just last week. Last week I was close, because I was just struggling through some things, and I just had to say, Lord, you need to show me something. I need some sign. I need you to, he knows his child. He knows me. And when I get on my knees and I say to him, I need you to show me something. I need some relief, because I am about to just walk away. And just when I think I'm just about to say, you know what, I'm done, deuces, he showed that sign. He showed that one sign that I needed to know that I still got you. Don't worry about it. So I know he can do it. I know, again, just don't give up. Don't give in. And even in what you consider your darkest hour, his light will shine. And it will just be the best, amazing feeling in the world. Just know that you're not alone in this walk. You're not alone in the times where you feel like sometimes he's just, walked away. He's always going to show up at that time when we think we can't bear it anymore. He always shows up on time, in time. It may not seem when we wanted it, like I wanted him to show up the beginning of the week, but that wasn't the time to show up. He had to show up at the end when it needed to be effective. Because had he come then, I wouldn't have seen his glory. I would have just thought, okay, I have a genie that I can just call whenever I want to. It had to be when it was going to be effective, and for him to say, my time, daughter, I got you. My time, I got you. I want to really, really thank everyone this evening who's watching, who's going to catch it on the replay. Day 27, 40-day devotional healing the wound and heart. Fear. You can arrest fear. You can constantly make an effort and decision in your mind that fear will not control you. It won't move you, and it won't stop your movement and growth in God. His time is perfect. It may not be ours, but it's His. I'm going to leave you this evening with this, as I always do. Always, always, always. Be live. Be conscious, in your word, your thought, and within your deed. Listen, are you there? Wait a minute. I think Minister Peterson is coming on.
Hello.
Hi,
hello.
honey. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
Okay, am I not? You know what? Hold up. I may have to switch. Hold on. I have to switch. Hold up. Let me switch mics.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you. I got that
Okay.
special phone.
Well, no, you know what? No, it's not. It's the microphone because I've got that too. Because it
Uh-huh.
uses the earpiece. So the
Mm-hmm.
microphone works just that we can't hear anything out of it because it's a microphone.
Right.
But I just wanted to hop on before you finished up tonight, and I wanted to tell you personally, publicly, how much I appreciate, your obedience, your yes. I just thank you so much. You have helped so much. Each night I'm like, God, God, just keep blessing her because she has been such a jewel to me and this group. I just wanted to tell you that personally. I didn't want to send you a message because I wanted everyone to know that you are so awesome and I love you very much. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I want to say thank you for just even entrusting your group with me. Consider that an honor and a blessing, and that's not something that I take lightly. So thank you and I'm grateful that the light that God has within me is, shining to the point where you felt comfortable enough to do that. So I thank you. I thank you. It was more of a blessing from me than you can ever know. It really was.
Awesome. Thank you. And I am out, so you can go ahead and close out. You can finish closing out. I'm sorry.
So, everyone, join us tomorrow for day 28 of the 40-day devotional, Healing the Wounded Heart. As always, it's going to be a treat. Again, I am going to leave you with this again. Always be kind in your word, in your and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Goodbye.